What's up guys, BHR here. Today I'm going to show you how to draw Senku from Dr. Stone. Okay, so if you saw my tutorials on Instagram, you know that I always like to start with a circle as a base. And that's what we're also gonna do here. We draw a circle with a line through the middle. After that we can start sketching the shape of the face, and yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect, just try to make it somewhat symmetrical. Then we draw two lines for the neck and an X-shaped circle around the neck, which will later be the chest area. For the shoulders we just draw two simple circles. Now we draw a rectangle under the chest, which will later be the belly area. And below that we draw another circle, which will later be the hip area. For the legs and arms I always like to draw circles to show where the joints are and then connect them with each other with simple lines. So yeah, just draw circles where the joints will be and then connect them with each other, and then you have your arms. And for the hands, yeah, you don't have to worry about that now. Just draw something there, something that looks like a hand, but we'll fix that later. Okay, so this is our basic sketch, and now we can start adding the details. First we erase the lower half of the circle because we don't need that anymore. And then I always like to draw the ears first, because the ears are like super helpful when drawing the eyes, and I always use them as a guideline for the eyes. Yeah, so first we draw the ears, and then we draw two lines for the eyes, which will be guidelines. Now we can start sketching the eyes, and my tip for this is that you just start lightly and feel your way into it. And when you're satisfied with the shape, you can start drawing a little more firmly and put a little bit more pencil behind those strokes. And yeah, the distance between the eyes is about one eye, so you can measure that out if you want to. And another important tip for me is that the eyes don't have to have the same shape. Like, there will also be hair in the face later, which will cover up a little bit of the hair, and yeah, so it doesn't matter. They don't have to be the same shape. Just try to make them somewhat similar. Now we can draw the nose and the eyebrows, and like I said, for the eyes, the same thing goes for the eyebrows. Like, they don't have to have the same shape or form, because a little bit from them will be covered up by the hair later. So yeah, that's no problem if they don't have the same shape. Also, don't forget to add the lines above the eyes for the eyelids. And afterwards we can draw the lines for the scar on his eye. I don't know if that's a scar or not, because to be honest I haven't watched Dr. Stone yet, and yeah, but it looks like a scar to me. I don't know. Yeah, for the mouth you can also decide to draw something else, give him an evil smile or I don't know what, but I just decided to go with the same smile from the reference. Alright, so the face is almost done and we can move on to the hair now. And the first thing we're gonna do is to define his forehead by drawing the hairline. Then right above his scar, or whatever that is, we can start to draw the beginning of his strand of hair, which goes down his face. And yeah, it will cover up a little bit of his left eye and a little bit of his left eyebrow, and it moves along the mouth and goes down to his neck. And we draw the other strand of hair just like we did the first one. Just notice that this time it covers up like half of the ear. Now all that's left is the top of his hair, and for that I decided to draw 6 lines to show where his hair tips will be. And if you have the skill, or if you can draw the hair tips directly, you can just do it without the guidelines, but I like to use these guidelines as a little help, and I think it's no big preparation. Like, you can just draw the 6 lines real fast, and then it's easier to draw the hair tips. And while we're drawing the hair, we can already add some lines to add a little bit of depth and definition to the hair. Slowly add more details by adding more lines from the beginning of his hairline to the upper part of his hair. And also don't forget to draw the other scar. If that is a scar, I don't know, I haven't watched the show. And that's it for the face, and now we can move on to the clothes. And I don't have much explaining to do for the clothes because we already did the guidelines, and now we can just add the details of the clothes on the right spots. Here on his chest area we draw some lines to indicate his chest muscles and the muscles coming from his neck. And then starting from the shoulders we can start to draw the clothes from his upper body, and therefore we just use simple lines and move on to his hip area. And as you can see, it's super easy to draw the clothes if you already have the guidelines done, so that's why I always, like most of the time, use these guidelines, so I have it easier to add the details later. And this helped me a lot as an artist, and I can only recommend you to use this for some time. And if you feel comfortable after practicing for a while, you can skip the guidelines and draw the clothes directly. But I think this method is super helpful because you can also draw your own poses with that, and yeah, just always start with the guidelines and then slowly add the details. I decided not to draw the hands on this drawing because I was a little bit lazy, and yeah, you can draw them if you want to, but I skipped them in this drawing because yeah, I was lazy. Happens sometimes, I don't know. Maybe I'll draw them in the next tutorial. So after the sketch we can start inking the drawing. I'm using a 0.1 Copic multiliner here. And yeah, As you can see, I'm not moving the paper because I have taped it on my desk so that I can have a better video. But if you're inking, I can only recommend you to move the paper around so that you always can do the best lines possible, because yeah, it's easier if you move the paper and you don't want to screw up at this point. Now let's get to coloring. This is my first time using markers. I'm using the Arteza Everblend markers. And yeah, I had no idea how to use them because, as I said, this was my first time, but I saw some other artists use markers and I picked up my stuff from there. And as you can see, I'm starting with the lightest color first and then adding the darker one step by step and trying to blend with the lighter color again. For his hair, I'm using two different kind of colors, green and gray. For the bottom part, I'm using a light gray marker, and for the upper part, I'm using a light green marker. And first I draw the light gray part, the bottom part, and then I go over it a little bit with the green marker and then again with the gray marker. And yeah, you have to repeat this process a couple of times to get a good blending. And after you have the base layer, like here, you can start adding darker colors to give a little bit more of depth. Yeah, and I have to say it was really fun to use markers because I'm used to drawing with colored pencils. And yeah, I only saw other friends use markers and watched how they did it and tried to adapt that style. And I can say it was really fun, and I think it worked. I think I didn't screw up so bad, and yeah. But what I learned from this is that you have to repeat this process a couple of times if you want to get a real good blending. Like, I thought if you use markers you will have to spend less time because it goes faster than colored pencils, but yeah, if you want to have a good blending you're gonna spend at least the same time like you do with colored pencils. Yeah, at this point we're almost done with the tutorial. I'm not gonna do any more explaining because it's the same process. I'm always using the lightest color first as a base color and then going over with the darker colors, trying to blend them together. And yeah, I think coloring is should be a creative part, like you should color it on your own. I also used the reference for this drawing, but the reference looks completely different from what I colored because I had different colors, and I think you should get a little bit creative and not follow everything I do. Like the first part of tutorial was very important, where I explained how to draw the body and how to make the guidelines and the proportions, etc. That was important for a tutorial, but I think coloring should be a creative part where you try to get out of your comfort zone and yeah, try to think of something yourself, you know? Alright, so that's it for the tutorial. I hope that it was helpful for you, and if you have any suggestions like what I could do better in the next tutorial, I don't know if it was too fast or too slow. Just tell me in the comments. I'll read all your comments. And also, if you have some character suggestions on who I can draw next, just write it down. I will read them all. And also check out the description, guys. I linked the artists of the music that I used in this video. Show them some support and follow them or subscribe to them. And yeah, see you next time.